Morning, everyone. We are still traveling, and it's late at night here and probably a little late where you are as well. So our topic tonight is on persuasion, and I tell you, my favorite topic of persuasion is Matthew McConaughey. You know what? Do you know how many cars they sold, Lincoln sold, because Matthew McConaughey drove that Lincoln? How many women just drooled? And I actually have a friend of mine who purchased a car because he drove that car. He didn't have to say a thing.
You have to understand what persuasion is, not persuasion. Persuasion is the title of a book. The term was coined by Dr. Robert Cialdini, who has become internationally renowned with his first book called Influence. He's influenced the marketing world and the online world in a way that changed it forever. His new book, Pre-Suasion, note pre-suasion, the conditions or the precursors. We talked about the precursors to prioritization. There are certain things that you have to have in place before you can persuade or before you can go into business. Because obviously you have to persuade customers, clients, and even employees. What she's talking about is in that ad, Lincoln hired Matthew McConaughey. He simply walks onto the set and he has all the girls drooling.
Yeah.
That's persuasion. That's the conditions before you get to the actual message on selling the car. He shows up and he predisposes half the world's population toward the Lincoln before he even says anything. And in fact, truth be told, he doesn't even have to say anything. He's already sold half the one side of the gender issue. Now, the point is that it was a brilliant stroke. It worked. Their sales have gone up. But this book is one of those issues. There's not many of them that come into existence and have such a great influence, and Dr. Cialdini's hit it again. There are certain things you have to have before you know how to prioritize in a business. The skills, training, those are two of them we talked about. Your knowledge base, your understanding of markets. Well, sometimes you got to do some reading. I realize that's not a favorite subject for many, but I do a lot of reading because, to me, I'm investing. And in a book like this, Persuasion, well, let me show you. We just gave you one illustration. I'll give you another one. In the book, he showed that studies in which, jurists, judges, attorneys, juries were predisposed to believe in the guilt of many individuals who were later proven to be innocent because of the way in which the police would set a video camera behind the policeman's head, over his shoulder and into the face of the person that they were interrogating. The lesson there is focal is deemed to be, in that case, guilty or causal. Now, Dr. Cialdini made the point that an overwhelming number of cases where someone was being videotaped like that, since they're nervous, the police knew that, they're nervous, the nervousness was translated by those in the jury and by attorneys and others that saw it as guilt, when it's natural to be nervous in those conditions. In fact, most people who have never had a run-in with the police are very nervous in their first time. But the video shot on them showed their nervousness, they're twitching, they're stumbling with their words, they're even gasping for breath at times, they're overwhelmed. What's focal was deemed to be causal, in that case, to be guilty. He makes the statement, in fact, he says, so the next time that you're with the police, he suggests that you, blame him. Blame him for what? Blame Dr. Cialdini. Say, look, I need my attorney. If the police suddenly say, if you've done nothing wrong, why would you need your attorney? Dr. Cialdini says, blame me. Blame me and say that studies have shown that simply talking with the police, especially when you're innocent, can up the chances of being deemed to be guilty when you're not. Now, I don't know if that's the case, and I can't give you legal advice, but I understand persuasion. The conditions such as nervousness and other issues that can come before you even get to your message. So Dr. Cialdini said, blame him. He said that on page 65 of Persuasion. The conditions that are set before you get to your message are often that which determines the outcome. Now remember that. Remember that when you're dealing with clients. It may be a suit and a tie. It may be other issues of presentation, even hygiene. Those are things that influence people, but course, we're dealing with skills. You have to recognize those. What is it that makes people believe in you? I know what I would suggest. And these are things that we've worked with. So again, I suggest you get a hold of Pre-Suasion. You learn to prioritize, because that will set you to thinking not just about your message, but the conditions leading up to the message. At least that's what it's done for us. So that's my recommendation. Skills, knowledge, like in this case, those are the kinds of things that are necessary, even before you begin to prioritize.
And that's what we do at Leveraging Influence, and we're encouraging you tonight to press on. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Night.